You know that feeling when you read something and it just feels a little flat? Or maybe you've tried to write something that sounds really official, but it just ends up sounding kind of clunky. Well, the fix might be way simpler than you think. It all comes down to a fundamental writing tool, the active versus the passive voice. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to use it like a superpower.
Okay, let's kick things off with a little puzzle. Look at these two sentences. They're telling us the exact same thing, right? The facts are identical. But they feel totally different, don't they? One feels direct and energetic, the other feels a bit more formal and distant. Figuring out why they feel different is the secret to making your own writing so much more effective.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with those two sentences. Then we'll break down the formula to switch between them. After that, we'll get into why this is a writer's superpower, cover some advanced moves, and wrap it all up with the big takeaway. Ready? Let's do this.
All right, Section 1, a tale of two sentences. Let's really get to the bottom of the fundamental difference here. First up, the active voice. This one's pretty simple. The subject is the one doing the action. In Utpal interviewed the minister, who's doing the interviewing? Utpal is. He's the star of the show. The spotlight is right on him. It's direct, it's clear, and it has a ton of energy. Now let's flip the script and look at the passive voice. In this case, the subject is the one receiving the action. So the minister was interviewed by Utpal. The minister is the subject now, but the action is happening to him. Did you see that? The spotlight just shifted from the doer to the receiver. That tiny change in focus makes all the difference.
Okay, so how do we actually make that switch happen? It's not some kind of complicated grammar magic, I promise. It's actually a simple, repeatable formula you can use every single time.
Think of it like a little three-step recipe. First, you take the object of the sentence and move it right to the front. It becomes the new subject. Step 2, the verb gets a makeover. It changes into a form of to be plus the past participle. And finally, the original subject, the person who did the action, gets moved to the end, usually with the little word by in front of it.
Let's see this recipe in action. We've got Tom hid the box. Okay, the box is our object. So to go passive, we move the box up front. The verb hid changes to was hidden. And our original subject, Tom, goes to the end with by Tom. See, it's a neat little swap.
And what's really cool is how flexible this formula is. It works across all sorts of tenses. Cleans becomes is cleaned. Is writing becomes is being written. Will finish becomes will be finished. The form of to be might change to match the tense, but that core engine, be plus the past participle, that's always there. It's the constant rule.
So, we've nailed the what and the how. But now we get to the most important part, the why. Why should you even care about this? Well, this is where grammar stops being about dusty old rules and starts being a tool for real control and style in your writing. And here's where your superpower comes in. It's all about making a strategic choice. You use the active voice when you want to be direct and punchy, when it's important to know who did something. And you use the passive voice when the action itself is the star of the show, or maybe when you want to be a little more formal, a little less direct, or even a little bit sneaky. Just take a look at this active sentence. That little phrase, from us, is so important. It says, we're taking responsibility. It builds trust and it has a real active energy. You just don't get that same kind of punch with a passive sentence. But now let's flip it. The culprits will not be spared. This sounds so official, doesn't it? Almost like a final judgment. It doesn't matter who is doing the sparing. The focus is 100% on the action and its certainty. Now that is a powerful effect.
So this brings up a really interesting question. You've probably seen sentences like, my car was stolen last night. The by someone part is just gone. We don't know somebody did it, but we leave them out of the sentence entirely. So what's going on there?
Well, it turns out we dropped the doer for some really smart strategic reasons. Sometimes it's because we just don't know who did it. Other times it's so obvious we don't need to say it. Maybe it's just not important to the story. Or, and this is the juicy one, sometimes we intentionally leave it out to be discreet or to avoid placing blame.
All right, ready to level up? Let's talk about an advanced move. What happens when a sentence has not one, but two objects? This is where you get even more precise control over your story.
Let's start with this sentence. See what's happening? We have two objects. There's the patient, that's the indirect object, the one receiving something, and then there's a bowl of warm soup. That's the direct object, the thing itself.
Now, because we have two objects, we get two choices for our passive sentence. How cool is that? For option 1, we can make the direct object, a bowl of warm soup, the subject. Now the sentence is really all about the soup.
But check this out. We can also make the indirect object, the patient, the subject of the sentence. Now the focus shifts completely to the person receiving the soup. Both of these are 100% correct. Your choice just depends on who or what you want to put in the spotlight.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. After all that, what is the single most important thing to remember?
Here it is. Active versus passive is not about right or wrong. Please forget any teacher who told you one is always better. Think of it as a powerful tool in your writing toolbox. It's your way to control focus, to create a specific tone, and to shape your message with real intention.
So, the next time you sit down to write anything, an email, a report, anything at all, just pause for a second and ask yourself, who or what deserves the spotlight in this sentence? Is it the person doing the action, or is it the action itself? The choice and all the power that comes with it is completely yours.